Okay.
Okay. Welcome everyone. One more time. This is Indre, your speaker for today, and I hope you will enjoy the workshop.
Thank you, Adam. Uh, so, um, Hello, everyone. The ones who joined our conference from the very beginning, probably you saw already. So, I'm from Lithuania originally. I'm working in Lithuania, and I would like to speak about today about work with parents or parent education in general. And yeah, I would like to share these slides. These slides will be shared with you after the conference, so you don't need to worry or make any photos or something. Just if you want, because we have time, my presentation will not be very long, because I know that you were listening for quite a long time for now. So we will have questions and answers at the end. So you will have possibility to unmute yourself or just to write questions in the chat. Okay. So, but first of all, I would like to share a little bit, So this workshop, it's working, Adam. Yeah, all the slides. Yeah, everyone see?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mm. Okay, so this workshop is called Building Bridges with Parents, Trust, Communication, and Partnership in Montessori Education. So why I decided to took this topic and to talk about it because I think I have quite a lot of experience working with parents, and this experience was not always very positive. It was also sometimes negative, let's say, or challenging. And I would like to share this with you too. So who I am, a little bit about me. So I am from Lithuania. At this right moment, I'm the only one person in Lithuania who has AMI 6 to 12 diploma. But it's a bit sad, but I hope we will continue growing. I'm a teacher and principal at the school. I'm the co-founder of a school we have. And because I have PhD in humanities, I also work as a lecturer at local university and helping students with final thesis and doing a little bit of university work. So how my journey as teacher started. So I was working at university, and at some point I had a suggestion to try to work as a teacher in inspired Montessori environment in 2015. And when I started working there, I realized the depth and just fell in love with Montessori education. And then the big change happened when I went to AMI Congress that was held in Prague at that time. And there I realized how Montessori education is expanded, how it covers a lot of, different themes and topics, and people are working in different fields. And then I decided that I would like to bring this authentic, high quality Montessori education to Lithuania. So, with this idea, we opened Montessori School in 2019 in Kaunas. This is not the capital, but the ever biggest city in Lithuania. And our goal was to bring AMI, quality to Montessori schools. We didn't want it to do it somehow, connected with, I don't know, national curriculum or something. We really wanted to do it in a high quality level. It is still a challenge, very big challenge, but we are, but we are on our path. But this is my mission in general, to bring this authentic Montessori education to Lithuania. And now I wanted to tell you a little story how it happened, So one day I was just, receiving an email from the parent that was not from our school, but I received an email with a question. Hello, we are very interested, like in your school, but we are from another city, Vilnius, and can we meet on Saturday and have a talk? We are really interested in Montessori and so on, and we want to see your school and so on. And I thought, oh, come on, Saturday to work on Saturday. I really don't want to do that. But I gave it a chance. Don't know why. Maybe the universe has an answer. And this family came to our school and we had like a 2 hour talk, with them on a Saturday morning. I showed them the school. I explained them a little bit about Montessori education as I could, in 2 hours. And what happened then, that um, I'll just ask Adam, can you keep admitting people if we are coming? Okay, thanks. Okay, so what happened then? That these parents, after 1 week of after our meeting, we wrote me an email with a suggestion that look, we are very excited. We don't have this kind of school in capital city Vilnius, and we will do everything what we can to help you to open this school. And this was a big change, because these parents knew about our school from their friends, that their children are going to our school. And with the help of these parents, we opened another school in 2024 in another city in the capital of Lithuania, in Vilnius. So now I'm like official co-founder of two schools, but this second school was opened because of the needs of the parents. It was not like expansion of a business, or like looking at a market, is there a need there? But it was really from the needs of the parents. And we opened the school and we started our school, I don't know, I think with probably 40 children, 45 children. And we realized that we just, fulfill the needs of the parents that were in another city. So this is why I decided to have this, a workshop about work with the parents, because this is one of the success stories I can say I have, and that it really, from the idea and from the needs of the parents, it became like a real thing, like a real school in another city. So, but this workshop is about trust, communication, and partnership. In my opinion, these three things are essential when we are talking about parent education in general and work with parents. And I know that lots of you, came to this workshop because you want to know something more, or maybe if there is something what scares you the most when you think about parents. And this is what I would like to ask you, and if you can write down, like in a chat, what scares you the most when you think about parents. If you are a teacher, if you are an administrator, if you are a parent, you can also tell what scares you most about being a parent or letting your child in Montessori school. So if you can just write a little into the chat so that I can see what are your challenges or what scares you when you think about parents. Because parents sometimes are scary, especially when you are a teacher. So, yes. So thank you. Lack of trust and wanting to be over involved, Yes, this is one of the things that sometimes when we work, we don't feel that we trust us and we want to be involved everywhere. Yes, the Hadarvera parents that send their children to Montessori schools without knowing much about Montessori. We heard something. I also can share with you. We had a situation. Then the mother just signed the contract very fast, and on the first day when she brought her child, she quitted the school because she said, "This is not how I imagine Montessori should look like." So yes, we sometimes we really don't know much about Montessori. Lack of confidence, their expectations. Yes, this is like a burden that we have on our shoulders. Um, their reaction to things we are not used to. Yes, all the emotions that we receive, from parents. The fact that they treat me like I don't know anything of my young age. Yes, this is also one of the things that we think that just the teacher should be like in 40s, or something. How to communicate concerns that you see in a child, their unrealistic expectations. Again, expectations. It's more a challenge when something scary, like the parents don't understand Montessori. Yes. Um, finding a perfect match of parents. Yes, I lost something. So I see that you all have, these challenges, and this is why you came to this workshop, I imagine, because of these things that are inside of you. And sometimes when we think about parents, we really are like, our whole body stiffs, and we feel not very comfortable. So I would like to tell you, like, where is these problems, but I see also in the chat that teachers often feel overwhelmed by parent communication or expectations. So what you already shared in the chat, that we, especially also the communication, that sometimes we just spill, all the emotions on you, everything what we have on your head, and you are just like standing there with like, what just happened? So also, teachers don't get support in their everyday work from parents and administration. This is also what I would like to add here, that administration, or how you call it, plays very important role in parent education and in a relationship between teachers and parents. And also the balance between emotions, workload, admin expectations, parent expectations, and personal life. So because I had this experience, as a Montessori teacher, I worked in a classroom. I'm not just administrator who is like, sitting in the office. I know what does it mean to have prepared environment, especially when you are building it from scratch. What does it mean to have all of his classroom management, especially in elementary years, and the children are really, we have like all these moral dilemmas, and like to being friends and not friends every day, and to prepare for all the presentations, and when you have evaluation reports, and everything, it's really hard, to sometimes balance, all of these things, and especially your personal life, which sometimes just disappears because all you do is just spend day in a school, and then you come back and you prepare materials or prepare for a presentation, or just think about the problems or like challenges, let's say, that happened during the day in a classroom. So to summarize, there is also a fear of being judged, the pressure to prove learning, and emotional and demanding parents that everyone has, we cannot avoid them so easy. Also, unclear boundaries, and acknowledging these feelings reduce shame, So, this is our starting point. What I wanted to start here, that all of us who are now in this room, or everywhere, around, you are not alone, I'm sorry, you are not alone. Everyone had these things, with parents, and sometimes it's really hard, to balance everything. And that's why I would like to share with you a little bit of my tips, what worked for me, and what brings more harmony in a school life when you have it. So, first of all, what we need to think about is what are the needs of the parents. So, the first question here comes like that we really need to understand what parents need. And then we are studying, Montessori education, we always think about characteristics of a child, what are the needs of a child, and so on and so on. But we also need to think what are the needs of parents, and they can be very different um, in a different cultural context also. So, usually, what is the repeating pattern of the needs of the parents is that we want to understand how our child is doing and learning. Because Nina talked a little bit, about this grade system in the questions. What is happening that usually when we go to mainstream schools or like public traditional schools, as we call it, we usually get grades or like marks. We use these electronic diaries that the parents can always control, what is happening in the classroom, how my child is succeeding. The child is assessed all the time, so the parents have this control. But when we come to Montessori, we don't have it, and somehow it feels like, come on, what my child is doing, all the day in the school, like why I don't get enough feedback, about the assessment part, not just how he feels. The other need of the parents is that to know their child is cared for. So usually when we come, to elementary environment, the classrooms are quite big. And what is happening that the parents think, oh, I decided to choose this, let's say, private Montessori school, but there are so many children in the classroom. Will the teacher give enough attention to my child, And this is where we need to, think about it. But this is what we think. And when we talk with them, when we communicate with them, we really need to show them that we care for their child. And not just we care, in our heads or when we are doing presentations or when we are preparing some follow-up work or and so on and so on. But we care for these children because and when we need to talk that with parents, we need to show that we see your child in the classroom. We can talk about it, almost every day, like what was happening. Also, another thing that is quite maybe a bit harder, is that the parents wants to feel involved and valued. And when we don't give them space for that, we start to involve themselves in these ways we don't want them to be involved in a school life or school decisions, So why we want to feel involved and valued? Because this is in general, what our society now is, what is the need of our society now? Because now we are living quite individualistic lives, a lot of competition happening, and we want the school to be that place, where we feel valued and involved just the way we are, and we want to participate and to have an active role. Another need is also that we need to understand, that it's this bridge, is emotional, that we want to belong to classroom community. We want to know each other like other parents from your child classroom, We want this. We want a feeling of belonging because, as I said, in our society today, we are distancing from each other, a lot. So this belonging feeling is also important, and we need to think about it, how we can create it in our schools or in our classrooms if you are responsible just for the classroom, not the school in general. So I would like to talk about this triangle. And of course, you saw different, triangle where the parent is replaced with environment as you are Montessori people. But what is important when we think about partnership, that we need to think about child, parent, and teacher. And this triangle is very important because when the parent is anxious, when the parent is like having, hard time to accept that his child is going to Montessori school, when he do not understand what the child is doing, when the parent don't trust, teacher, then it's visible on the child. And we cannot say that we are just working with the child, we really need to work also with parents. And when we think about it, we need to think about also human tendencies of parents, and how we can fulfill these human tendencies. I will not go, deeper into this topic about human tendencies, but human tendencies are also very important part. And the people usually in their workplace or somewhere else, we don't feel, that we can fulfill them. And our schools, our classrooms, the parent communities that we are creating should be the ones where we are creating this space where the human tendencies are fulfilled. Of course, we need to balance, this relationship. It doesn't mean that we need to forget the child and just spend all time, with the parents. What sometimes happens, when we think about, oh, I will have good relationship with parent, and then the child will feel good. No, we always need to balance this, and because when one side weakens, the system destabilizes. And because I eliminated from this triangle environment, we also need to think, what kind of environment we create for parents. When we think about the child, it seems like very easy. We had it in our courses, we have our albums, we have a list of criterias which should be in a classroom, what kind of classroom, community we need to create, what kind of classroom culture we need to create. And for the child, it seems like easy, But then we need to think also what kind of environment we create for parents. And it's not just about physical environment, it's also about this um, psychological environment that we are creating for parents. And we really, even when we are talking about the physical environment, we also, I can come back a little bit and think about, okay, then the parent comes to school or to your classroom. What is the first thing the parent will see? When is the time when the parents can come to the school? Or also, like for example, if we enter, and there are lockers, is there any place, where the parents can sit while we are waiting for their child? Is there any place that we can read through Montessori books or your booklets? Do you have some kind of board, that you can place to parents? And when we enter, this your locker area, let's say, where the children are changing clothes, or I don't know. So what we will see and what kind of information we are giving to them, maybe you will, add some kind of like Montessori writings or something like this. Also, this environment, how we create this space, for parents to talk, how to talk, where to talk, what are the rules of communicating, between each other. Do you set these boundaries or not? Like if you are creating, I don't know, like a WhatsApp group, for parents, are you clear with the boundaries, what we are talking on that group? And that not others will not feel humiliated, or something, so we really need to think about all the environments, even if it's digital or physical or psychological, that we are creating for parents. So this is the one of a part. Okay, I'm trying to manage time. So what is it that parents are at the heart of every Montessori community? Because our communities will not be like, we will not have schools, classrooms, Montessori communities if the parents will not be consciously choosing Montessori. We can be, amazing teachers, standing alone, doing our things, but if nobody will trust us and nobody will make a conscious decision to let their child to come to Montessori school, it will be nothing, you know. So that's why we need to understand that parents are also very important part, you know, of what we are doing. Of course, it's like always, you know, the center of everything is a child, but parents are the ones who make these decisions and allow their child to experience this amazing Montessori education. So what parents often do not see that why Montessori looks so different, you know, because I saw a lot of, you know, schools who are also doing like how to say, like marketing, you know, and we're trying to prove, you know, that, oh, we're following all the national curriculum and so on. And then what the parents think? Oh, yeah, our school is the same as any other school, you know, it just have some beads, you know, on the shelves or something. So, and sometimes we ourselves, you know, uh, create this image, and the parents don't see the difference of Montessori education. Also, another thing is the meaning behind the independence. I don't know if you had this situation, you know, but when you ask parents, like, oh, I think you should not, you know, carry your child's bag to the school because he's already elementary child and he really can carry by himself, you know, or I don't know, going out, you know, with the children, this all of this independence, you know, also that we as teachers, we don't do not like open, you know, the heads of children and put in all the knowledge, that the children need to work by themselves, that the children need to do all of this inner work, you know, through materials, that this will build this independence. And is it physical independence, or I don't know, even mental, you know, capacities that the child is building to get to be more independent in a reasoning way. Another thing is that why real work and worksheets. So I don't know if you had these situations, you know, but sometimes the parents are like, oh, you know, I bought some workbook for my child, he's doing in the evening, you know, or, you know, I don't know, I bought some coloring book for my even 3 years old child, you know, to color it. And sometimes parents think, okay, this is a worksheet, you know, the child fill in this and that's all, he is done, you know. And then we work with materials, you cannot measure it, you don't have filled in worksheet, you know. It's something that we cannot control also. And another thing, what is very common in our society in general, is that how children, you know, learn from repetition, because now we are used to that, you know, that we always need something new, we always need a show, you know, we always need, you know, something new and exciting. And then you come to the classroom and the child is repeating, you know, the same, I don't know, racks and tubes, you know, work for a week or two or even more, you know, because he want to master it. And for parents it's hard to understand, and we think, why you should not motivate him, make him a little show, you know, because this is how our society works right now, you know. We are always, you know, um, having some kind of excitement, you know, entertainment, you know, for ourselves. And sometimes, and what we say in Montessori, that it's not so needed, you know, and we need to really explain this to parents. So what is our role as teachers is to make the invisible visible. So, what is happening in Montessori elementary classrooms? The invisible, all of this invisible part, I mean, it's invisible because the parents don't see it. We need to make it visible. And we need to find ways, you know. Maybe it can be a little bit different, you know, for each of you or the teacher, but you need to find the ways, you know, in the context where you are, depending how to make it visible, how to make these essential things, you know, visible for your parents or for your community in general. So what I can give you a little example. You know, we had. For example, you have your parents, I don't know, social media group on Facebook or whatever, you know, I don't know what is the new trend on social media. In my times, it was Facebook where we created these groups. And what is happening? But for example, we are sharing, photos with parents on a Facebook. But what we are sharing, have we ever asked ourselves? Are we sharing just going out to the museums, having like big projects happening? Why we don't share, these little achievements that the child has while working with materials, these little things, because when we are starting to share just our going out to museum, to, I don't know, some kind of field trip, some kind of expert came, we are preparing for some festival or something like this is what the parents see. They see that, oh, the classroom, is about, doing so many great things, going out somewhere, and then we sit in individual meeting, and what is happening, the parent says, so we saw that last week you didn't go nowhere. So, and we are like, come on, parents, you don't understand what we are doing in Montessori classroom, but this is not about it because this is what we shared with them. We are always, sharing with them all of these entertainment things. And then we ask ourselves why we don't understand how much we are doing, in a classroom. So this is why it is important also with them to share what we are doing every day in a classroom. I'm not talking about posting every day, things. I'm talking about instead of sharing that you went to the, I don't know, Zoom museum, better share how the child is working with letters, or with alphabet or word study or whatever. So, and to write a little story about it. So, the first shift we need to make is, of course, in our mindset. Because we need to understand that the parents are not coming to control us and we don't need to defend from them. Even if it sometimes things it looks like this, we still need to be, very clear that we are changing our mindset from defense to dialogue. And as Montessori teachers, we had this role, we need to be advocates for the child. And it is impossible without parent involvement. We cannot have, full advocacy for the child without parents. Another thing is that in our heads, we need to change it from being a potential, from the parent being a potential critic, to essential collaborator. Because sometimes it's also, in our heads, that we are sometimes, how to say, we are locking ourselves in, and like, oh, I will not go to speak with parents because we will criticize. I don't know what to tell to them, and that's all, But when we come with them, with a mindset that we are our collaborators, they are allies, we are partners in child development, this is changes, because everything starts with our head, how my friend used to say, everything is in your head. You just need to think differently, And when we start to think differently inside of us, also the relationship changes, We start not to see parents as inspectors, critics, or outsiders, but we see them as co-guides because actually we are. We spend half of a day, with the children. If a child is spending half of a day in the school, the other half is with children. And if we accept them as co-guides, and to help them to guide in the same manner as we do, then the child will benefit. And this is very important that parent education is not a burden or another task for us. This is a place where we can help even more to the child, where we can help together, in this collaboration. So, of course, it doesn't happen in one day. Um, and usually what I should do is that sometimes we feel kind of, defensive because we don't know what actually we're doing in the classroom. And this especially for the new teachers, what is happening. but you don't know a lot about the child. You are not sure with all the cosmic education and cosmic vision what is happening, and you are kind of, oh my God, I'm so afraid we will ask me what I'm going to do with this child on this presentation next year, and I'm not sure and I'm just scared. So what can help, when we really get to know this method, the way we work, why we work, always ask question why we are doing like this. For example, if you do cursive writing with children, or if you don't do cursive writing with children and the parents come and complain, you need to have your why. Why are you doing like this? And when you will have it, you will feel more confident in yourself. I hope that these guidelines that we will share, after in the end, of this day, will also help you to know why we are doing this and these things, and how it is all connected. Also, we need to have this understanding about the child. So listen again, to Kyla and Carla lecture, and really to think about it, how it is important to understand the child really good, that we can speak, to parents about it. Also, we need to ask ourselves why I am a teacher. Because in my career, because I'm also working with a lot of teachers, I see that there are still lots of teachers who are becoming teachers just because we want to control others. And we think that being teacher, it's easier because it's easier to control little people, as we say, this, not the adults, like being a manager or the boss in a company. So you really need to find yourself an answer why I am a teacher. And this will also help to your mindset. And especially what is important and what I would like to highlight, it's this inner work with yourself on your life and work balance and emotional intelligence. And if it's needed, to ask for external help, go to specialists, but you really need to find this life and work balance, because even if you are giving yourself, to your classroom, your whole classroom finally is prepared environment, you made all the cards, everything, but you don't have your life and work balance inside of you, this will affect you a lot. And especially when the parents will come with some kind of complaint or something, your reaction will be very defensive because of that. Because you will think in yourself that we do not understand, how much work you are putting into this classroom, and we of course don't understand because we don't see it. How we can understand this, and of course the spiritual preparation of the adult. I'm not going deeper into all of this, because it's a lot about in general, preparation of the adult, that Montessori talked about, getting rid of a pride, and all the other things that we really need to work on ourselves every day. So how to build this trust, Of course, it's very important, to understand that trust is not a friendship. Sometimes we become friends with parents, and I suggest you not to do that, honestly. What is important is the consistency, transparency, and professionalism. I'm sorry, I'm not a native speaker. So, why it is important, is that this we need to be professional in our communication. We don't need to go through the boundaries, and we need to be always transparent, to share, and be consistent in everything what we do. So building trust actually happens with admission process to your school and classroom. And here are my suggestion steps how to make this all the admission process. The worst case scenario is that you admit parents just by signing the contract when they come anytime, or even digital, contract signing. Why it is important? So first of all, I suggest to make an open door day to just introduce them, in general with a Montessori education and why it is so different and alternative, as we say, from other educational systems. Then invite them for classroom observation. We never admit any parent without observation. This is very crucial part. And you don't need to make a little show for this observation. We need to come any day, doesn't matter, because we all will have different days, and we need to come and observe a classroom, how it is working. We don't need to be like sellers, that we are selling Montessori and so on. We want them to make a conscious decision, and we need to be open to who we are. Of course, at first we need to know who we are, but we need to be open who we are as Montessori schools and Montessori classrooms. After we have like individual meeting with a family to check if their values with your values are aligned. And this is very important because sometimes, the parents will come, we will come to open door day, we will come to observation, we will read through the handbook, that you send them online, and we will be, yeah, it's okay. We're signing the contract. We need to put our child somewhere in, and that's all. But what is important during this meeting, just to understand, that not just we are making decision, but we are making decision because we need to think about the community of our parents and how these parents will adapt to this community that we already have. Also, we need to have the clear expectation list from parents. And this is very important part, especially in elementary education. If you can, let's say, miss it, for 3 to 6, in elementary it's very clear because sometimes the parents have crazy expectations, I can say, which are like, so why are you here? Like, I don't know. So this is a important part to have like written down in black and white, what are your expectations and that we all agree if we can fulfill it or not. And also, it's important to ask them all the information about the child from previous educational institutions. If you have like our school that we have toddlers, CASA, and elementary, it's very easy, because the teachers can have like conversations, with previous teacher and so on. But if a child is coming from another environment, you really need to get this information just to better understand if we really can fulfill all the needs of the children. And this is what I'm talking about, especially when we have some, situations. I don't know if you had this experience, but there are sometimes situations, when there is a child with a special needs, the parents are hiding this, and then we realize it just after, I don't know, first few days in a school, like of a new school year, and then we need to very quickly prepare, the environment and adapt to his situation. So it's better to prepare it before if we have it, all the documentation, and all the reflections from previous teachers, so we can better, prepare it for the new school year when that child will come. So making Montessori visible is communication with parents, one of the main things is about communication. Also giving them knowledge and experience about the method. So being the open doors to the classroom all the time. What does it mean? That the parents can come to observe any day. And this is very important because if we see that you are so open, of course we will not come. Because if we are sometimes, very defensive and like, oh, I don't know, maybe after 2 weeks you can come and so on and so on, this feels suspicious, and we really need to think about it. When we are very open with our open doors to them, we put them, in the observation chair. I see your question about how long we should stay in the environment. My suggestion is why at first, of course, to understand why we want to come to observe, and then it depends. Usually we invite them for no longer than 1 hour and to observe the Montessori cycle. So this is what we do, because if we are coming for the whole day, okay, the first hour we will observe Montessori cycle, but what we will do other hours, we will be searching for mistakes that you can make during the day. And this is not pleasant, and it's not nice, and it's bringing more pressure. I will talk more. I don't know how I will manage in time, but I want to talk more about these observations of parents. So, of course, we as teachers, we always need to have the trust that the child will reveal, and we should trust the method. And sometimes I know that's really hard, but we really need to trust the method, because if we start doubting, oh, I don't know if a child will learn this or this, maybe I should give these worksheets to the child, the parents will sense it. And this is going to be hell, I can say. From my perspective, you really need to do, you really need to be very, um, like to have this trust of the method and to really believe in it. Otherwise, we will come with this over involvement. So communication. So communication about the child should be very clear, kind, and purposeful, focused on observations. And this is very important part, what I would like to add and mention here is that we never communicate our opinions about the child. What we are trying to do is that we are trying to talk what we observed about the child. Specific, facts, specific situation, specific behavior that the child showed. And we always need not to forget to talk just about the bad things, but also about the good things and the strengths that the child is having. So my little story here is that you need to think about when was the last time, for example, when you called parents. And what is happening usually that we call to parents or email them just when something bad happens with a child situation or like in general. So what is very important is that we really need to call and talk and write to parents also when something good happened, not just when something bad happened, because this is how we need to bring also the positive messages. So the parent will not get a heart attack when we will see the school phone, ringing to them. Another thing is about emails. I really suggest you to think what you are writing in these emails. It shouldn't be just, like factual information like, hello, can you bring, I don't know, umbrellas tomorrow too, or I don't know, snack box, because we will go to the picnic or something like this. No, the email should reflect your classroom, and you really need to think how these emails can reflect it. So if you are doing, like, for example, in our one of our classrooms, we are doing, in both classrooms actually, we are doing Friday notes, and the teachers are sending them, and we really want to reflect, what is happening in the classroom. Of course, we don't have always so much energy to write them in a way that we would want to write it, but still we are doing this. Also, another part, is media, what I talked a little bit, if we are using any kind of social media or media groups or WhatsApp groups or something, we just never need put the photos, in, and then we are like, we had a nice day, 20 photos. No, we always, it's better to post one photo, but to give it a context. And this context should be rooted in Montessori philosophy. It's not just about the child doing something, achieving something, and so on. Because imagine if you are posting photos just about presentations of the children that we did on their projects. What is the message that you are sending? That we are very proud of the children who made projects till the end and made their presentations. But is it really the message that you want to share with parents about your classroom culture? So this is just, thoughts for you to think how to shape, the media communication. So as I told, that you should be always open to the parents to talk. Of course, it's not during the work cycle. You need to set up, boundaries, but still you need to be open, because the more open you are, the less we will come. I I can say this 100%. And another important part is using the same words. So I can tell you a little story also here. I had a situation then the girl was working with a checkerboard, the multiplication board that we use in Montessori Elementary. And after 2 weeks, I had her parents shouting at me, like literally coming to school and like screaming almost at me, like, what does it mean? Why my child is playing chess, all 2 weeks? What does it mean? So she's not learning nothing, and so on and so on. So this is a funny story now, looks like. But what it is about is that we really need to talk, with them in the same vocabulary. So we need to explain them what does it mean a checkerboard? What does it mean, racks and tubes, what does it mean golden beads? And how, like, we need to introduce them with these words that we are usually using, so that it's not something misunderstanding happening, among, us. But we need to set healthy boundaries. It doesn't mean that the communication with parents need to take all of your energy. No, you need to have healthy boundaries. I will talk faster, okay, because we don't have a lot of time. So what is important that never, my suggestion is never have personal social media shared with parents, because we will write you in the evening, we will follow what you are doing on the weekend, and you need to think, do I really want this? Also, availability. What does it mean? That, for example, the parents in our schools, we don't have teacher personal phone numbers. There is just one phone for the classroom, and we can always reach the teachers from the work, just on the working hours. Also, we need to set a healthy boundary to respect the environment. That means that we are never answering, communicating, or so on during the working cycle. So, and that the parents cannot disturb you during the working cycles that you are having with the children. And this is a very clear boundary that we need to do. So teacher parent conferences. So what we need to do is that we need to prepare for them in advance. I will share these slides, so you can take a look after, so create what is also important, that in teacher parent conferences, when we have them, we have it twice a year, in our school. But it's important to create and begin, this conference of connection, not just data, and to speak from observations, not emotions. This is a very important part, that we don't need to bring all the emotions we have with that child on the last day before the conference, but we need to talk through our observations that we did in this longer period. Also, we need to have this three things, in our minds when we do teacher-parent conference. But we talk about strength, we mention the challenge, and then we give strategy. What is a common mistake that the teacher is doing? We forget about the strategy. And then the parent is left, with this one, like, oh, my child is succeeding there and maybe not succeeding there, but I don't know what to do. And we are trying then start to blame the school, that my child is having challenge somewhere. So we always need to get the proper strategy that the parents need to follow and, for example, cooperate with you. Of course, there is a difficult conversation sometimes, so I will not go deeper into this, because we need to offer, always we need to offer support for them and next steps, and talk about behavior that we observed. and start with empathy with them, that we understand them, we hear them, and so on. But we always need to think to like a way to go out from the difficult conversations is the way when we write down the steps together with the family. It's not just about emotional, arguments among each other. It's about writing next steps, what we will do. And this is in my experience, the best way to go out from these difficult conversations when we write down, together, when we talk the steps, what we will do, that it's not just hours and hours and hours of talking. So, but the most important part is that strengthening the community. So we need to see in our schools and in our classrooms community as a value. So what does it mean? That we need to have parent education evenings, or for example, Montessori at home workshops, community events and celebrations, peer-to-peer parent groups, silent journey. I don't know whom of you are familiar with silent journey method that we do in Montessori classrooms. If not, please Google it, or you can write me and I will share more. I have some PDF slides about it. It's just another story. And also observations where we involve parents. So what does it mean, parent educational events? It means, that we never should start with lecturing these events. We need to think smart about topics. For example, in our elementary classroom, we are doing once a month, parent events in one of the classrooms. The teacher is leading them. And these events are not about, explaining parents that your child will learn everything. No, it is about involving them in helping us to prepare environment and giving them a little bit of knowledge. So here you can see in this photo, parents, we made our first, parent event about art and music because we think that it's very important, because we think that it's very important, for children to start, with art and music, and for parents to understand that it's not just everything with math and language, what we always think, about elementary math, language, great, So that's why we started, with this arts and music, part. Also, for example, we had another, like when we connect Montessori to the common problem. So, for example, we had a parent evening about how to set boundaries and freedom and limits, let's say, at home. And this is also very important because it's not just about something that we are doing, in a school, but it's also a helping hand that we give to the parents, how to set these boundaries at home and how to give freedom that the child is ready to accept. So about the silent journey, I will not talk more, but it's, in my opinion, this is like, I tried a lot of different, parent education events, and in my opinion, this is the best way to present a Montessori method in general. I have never seen better way, and we have feedback from parents, and I know now almost all of our schools parents then through the silent journey and discovery, and it's the best way. And even for the toddler parents, when we come and when we see, Kaza at an elementary level, we make a decision then during the silent journey that we want their child to continue going on elementary. And if you want, you can write me, I can tell you more about it. It's a big topic to talk. I just wanted to mention what I see in the chat, that there are people who already are familiar with it. And another thing is a Grandparents' Day. So we are organizing Grandparents' Day in the beginning of the school year. Why it is important? Because when the grandparents are calm and when we trust the school, then the parents are calm, So it's very important, because the grandparents are the ones who always, talk with parents and say like, oh, why you are allowing your child to this, Montessori private school? Why are you paying so much money? So when the grandparents see what you are doing, we will be calm and we will be happy, and then the parents will be more calm. And also about celebrations. So I really suggest you to make it community-based celebrations with all the talkings, and without any show to put from the children, and just more about, talking, and sharing things together, where the parents are involved. And also, when you organize observations, you need to organize always observations based on method, not on observing specific child. So if you have possibility, allow, parents to observe the method, not their own child. And it shouldn't be more than half hour or 1 hour. And you need to have specific handout to give them about observation. So this is a calendar of the events for parents where I have like a suggestion. So it's months and events and how you can balance it during the year. I'm so sorry. I had so many slides prepared and I wanted to share everything, but I see that we are running out of time. What I wanted to say is I would like you to accept that parent education and partnership with parents is not one more responsibility for the teacher. It's a whole community action towards relationship. So thank you. And thank you for coming. I'm so sad that we didn't have questions and answers. Time. I really wanted to share a lot of things. I hope you get ideas, Thank you so much. And now we invite you to come back to the main room because we will share with you the guidelines, our website of the guidelines, and all the work we've done. And I shared here my email. My email will also be at the end of the guidelines. So if you want to talk more about parent education, I'm very happy, to make workshop for your school, for your teachers. I don't take money, usually it just depends on time, so I'm very happy, to share more of what I learned from my experience. Thank you. So Adam, can you share the Zoom link?
The Zoom link.